what's great about you, Puddin'. You really put the fun in funeral.
Okay, I'm actually still workshopping that, but me and the Joker, we are so through.
Okay, cool. Yeah, no, for sure.
Hey, does anyone know our damn Wi-Fi password? Harley? Oh, is that you?
It's me, dickhead.
You've got a few minutes to figure your way out before the house blows.
Quinnzo.
Maybe next time we can unpack some of that childhood trauma.
What the fuck?
What's going on, everybody?
What's up, man?
So, kind of get the idea of what we're... where I don't want to just knock everything, but that was like kind of my reaction to the Harley Quinn of this whole thing.
Yeah,
what's going on, everybody? So, I really wanted to talk about Snow White this week, but then I decided, you know what? I actually really want to talk about Batman.
I'm so glad you pivoted.
Me too.
No, it was a hard sell. I was like, man.
What people don't understand is when you pick a topic like this, like I love this stuff. I enjoy these conversations, but I'm also not caught up. So I've got to go watch this stuff. And you chose for me to watch Batman Caped Crusader, which I appreciate. Not having to watch or live action Snow White, I much appreciate Batman Caped Crusader over that. Thank you.
Yeah. Well, I mean, when we get around to Snow White, we'll have to go back and watch the original. You know, everything. Get totally
might have to call in sick that day.
Totally get caught up on it, so that we can compare and contrast. You know, the pluses and minuses of the new Snow White. I'm just kidding. If I ever do that thumbnail, it's going to be a joke, everyone. I'm telling you right now, because there's no way in hell I'm talking about Snow White. I don't care about that movie. I'm not going to go see it, and so there's no reason for me to talk about it. But
they'll have a live action reboot in a couple of years. You'll be all right.
Yeah, but I mean, for this week, we're going to talk about Batman Caped Crusader, because you know what? For all the things, there were a few things I didn't like. Ultimately, I thought this show was pretty interesting and pretty good. There were things I didn't like. But
you know, like that's kind of my synopsis. I hope we like different things or something. But my take on this is I'm a fan of the animated series from the 90s. I really like that. There was some cool stuff about that series. But there's a lot of negative attention that this new one is getting. And I see why. I understand why it's getting the negativity that it is. And I don't entirely disagree with a lot of things that they're saying. All in all, though, like, this was not it's not the travesty. We'll dig deeper into this, but it's not the travesty that people are making it out to be. It's pretty good. Like, I'm going to put it in the pretty good category versus the society is about to burn category.
You know what? Yeah, I agree. I don't think that it was as bad as some people. Obviously, there were some things. I have some pictures here. I got my slide up first. I know you hadn't made a slideshow, but
go ahead.
It's made by the same guys as the animated series, but it's not as good. But as we talked on Jake's show the other day, it hasn't had enough time to really get there yet.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, and I can accept that. Like, it has having a time. It's also meant for the same audience. It's not meant for the same audience as in the animated series was from the 90s. This Caped Crusader is for that audience from the 90s. I wouldn't necessarily want my kids to watch it. I guess after a certain age, it wouldn't be that big a deal, but
yeah, my daughter being she's 8th grade, and your daughter is in high school, and Hazel's in 7th grade.
Yeah,
is that right? Or she? Okay, 7th grade. I don't know if I'd be uncomfortable with it versus like how comfortable would you be with your kids watching Caped Crusader versus the animated series?
And like if they're 9 years old, like I think I might have been around 8 or 9 when that animated series.
It was 1990.
Came out.
1990,
Yeah.
I think, when that came out.
I don't know how old man, 1990. If I was 84, so 90, I would have been 6, 7, 8. Yeah, I was around 8. So, what is that? Second, third grade?
Yeah, right around there.
I don't know if I wouldn't let my kid, my 8 or 9 year old watch, just because right off the bat, you got that scene where the penguin kills their son, her son, or both of them, and I'm like, oh man, this is not going to be for kids. I get it, but the most egregious thing is obviously, and that kind of gets me, is, and hence the clip at the beginning here, which is kind of the progression of Harley Quinn going from the fun, spunky, Harley Quinn that I remember.
Yes. So that's exactly. I think that is the sticking point of probably this entire conversation. There's a lot of different things to talk about, but I think the sticking point of the entire conversation is going to be Harley Quinn.
Nah,
Yeah,
I'll disagree there.
I don't even mind.
I'll say it's all about the penguin.
Now, the penguin's
Really?
what everyone's talking about because that was the first episode, but honestly, I don't care about it. And I don't care as much about that. It's annoying.
Right.
But it's not like,
I think Penguin was a misstep. I have more problems with Harley than I do Penguin so far from what I've seen. I don't know if they go off the deep end because I haven't finished it.
Sure.
But from what I've seen, I'm like with Penguin, I'm like, it just doesn't work for me. It's just not working. Harley Quinn, however, I am like just kind of, it just doesn't work. Like that's a bigger fail to me, in my opinion. That's where I see the fail.
Like this comic cover here. I mean, I like that animation style from the animated series, but when they tried to incorporate her into comic books, I think it took them a minute to figure it out. But just the way they, everybody was, her body type, she was still attractive.
Right.
So I have a whole thing to say about that, and for it's kind of thrown off because if we're talking about 8 and 9 year olds, and we're not, but if we're talking about 8 and 9 year olds, then I'm not ready to have the conversation about the body type. Like, yes, I think there is a sexual nature to Harley Quinn. I think it's safe to say that is. She's attractive, right?
Who would you rather
I think
watch?
she is an attractive character.
Would you rather watch like Rogue or I don't know?
Well, obviously,
Harley
but
Quinn
as an 8 or 9 year old, like I want to see Princess Leia Return of the Jedi.
I wanted to see more Batman in the beginning of this series, but I mean, he does come. Jake, you mentioned on your stream, how much was the runtime Batman himself, like the screen time in the first couple episodes?
I mean, when I was 8 or 9, I was still attracted to Gadget from Rescue Rangers, but I'm not going to go there. So. But yeah.
Oh man, if they brought that show back.
Yeah, the runtime. I clocked it. I got my stopwatch out and I clocked it. So it took about a minute into the show for Batman to show up on the first episode, which isn't bad. And that was slow. I didn't like that introduction, by the way. We can talk about that later. I don't mean to interrupt, but that was a slow introduction, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Well, the fight broke out, and it was reminiscent to when he was, taking, merchandise from his own company from Batman Begins. I liken it to that kind of deal. But yeah, so altogether, Batman had screen time for the first episode of 8 minutes 12 seconds out of a 20-minute runtime.
I like that.
Now the second episode, he only got 7.5 minutes of screen time, so it went down a whole freaking minute.
Okay.
Yeah, you know what?
But then the third episode came in, and it was all about his origin story. So it was all Bruce Wayne for that one, basically.
Is that the Catwoman?
It was all Sterling Archer, by the way. That's my joke on this whole thing. This is look. This is Bruce Wayne and Archer.
We were talking about the voice. The voice is okay for me. I do like. It would have been almost better if it had Archer's voice in it. But you're right,
man.
Look on.
How similar. I can't believe that I was able to find 2 photographs of like these 2 shows so easily of them like with the same colored background, the same, almost the same pose. They're both dressed like nicer. Like that took me like 2 minutes to find. I think that's hilarious. But yeah, that's I couldn't get that out of my head the whole time I'm watching. Every time I see Bruce Wayne, I see Archer the whole time.
I think I would have liked Archer's voice though.
Mm-hmm.
It would have been totally different. But I didn't mind the voice. This guy's voice was just fine as Batman, and Bruce Wayne was a little off. But who cares?
It was all right. It was decent.
It wasn't bad.
Yeah, I was saying I like how they made this Bruce Wayne to where he wasn't just a billionaire playboy, but he was socially awkward at the same time.
I like that too.
Yeah,
and the way he treated Alfred.
Yeah, in the first episode, when he's getting ready to go to the Iceberg Lounge, I told Peter about this. I was like, when he got done talking to Alfred, saying "enjoy the party," and he thought that was a joke, he turns right back to the crowd and gives that Terminator smile. That Arnold Schwarzenegger smile, that was just real weird.
Really?
And I was like, yeah, I can like this. I like where this is going. That's pretty cool.
The socially awkward Batman. That is kind of a funny little twist. And I know there were some complaints about the Alfred, but your boy Zach mentioned now that's actually more like the classic. Yeah, Pennyworth. It's more like classic Pennyworth from back in the day, which I haven't read those, so... Well, at least I haven't actually read them. You see like a facsimile and you glance through it, but
no, his design is totally golden age, man, and I'm all for it. Bring that shit on.
Yeah.
Which so I don't have a picture of this, but I noticed. I don't know how unintentional this was, but if you notice, so the Alfred looks different. And they do some weird things about calling characters slightly different names that I found a little strange. They just, made little changes to their names, like calling him Pennyworth. It's Quinnzo instead of Harley Quinn, and of course Oswalda or whatever. But so they changed Alfred. But then, did anybody else notice how? Well, first off, everybody has a butler in this one or a nanny. But then Harley Quinnzo's driver, her butler, is like the Alfred from the animated series.
I didn't notice that. I didn't catch it.
It took me I spent 5 minutes sitting there looking at that. Like, did they do this on purpose? Is there a reason for this? Because it is spot on the same character, like the same drawing. I didn't even think about it until just now. I don't have a slide of it, I'm afraid.
Yeah, I wonder if they did that
I'm
on
actually
purpose.
Looking it up now.
The separation.
That would have been actually kind of interesting if they did that. It'd be like a dick move, but also kind of interesting if it was on deliberate.
And on that, I don't know, it doesn't hurt my feelings that they changed their names, but I don't understand the purpose of it. I found that a little confusing.
Let's just try to separate it from Batman the Animated Series. I mean, remember, it's Bruce Timm at the helm, which he was for the animated series way back when. So he's got a lot to juggle, trying to make it unique, even though he wants to keep it dark in dark tones. He's got to juggle it to where it doesn't totally mimic what he did beforehand. So
I like that.
I don't know why he didn't.
There.
I noticed that, and I like the 40s noir setting. I think that is one of the most Batman decisions I've ever seen. I like that they did that.
That was pretty cool. I like that.
And I do understand them trying to separate things. So while I'm a little bit confused on the names, I agree, and I do appreciate that they're trying to at least set it apart and give us a different thing.
I can't find a picture of it, but yeah, I mean, I don't know. I can't find a picture of it. I give up.
Mm-hmm. Sorry.
But, I do like the style of this show, this series. You're right. It's that classic animated series vibe, but also like set even further. The old ones, the animated series was modern yet like in the past, right? This is like in the past.
Yeah, this is straight up in the 40s.
Yeah, and I do dig that. Oh, it'll be interesting to see how they do Batman Beyond. You waiting for that one, Jake, when they finally redo Batman Beyond?
I believe that will be one that they never touch again unless they turn it into a film like Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse.
You know what? It's funny you mentioned that. Because I saw a thing, I don't know if it's a troll or if it was like a fan picture or not, but I did see a funny picture of Batman Beyond, the movie.
It's too far into the future to where they can't use any of the original characters. They will never do it. They'll never touch that.
Oh, they'll do it. You know they're going to do it when they run out of the audience for this.
If anybody's going to do something weird, it's like, I'm sorry to say, like I see DC being the one that's doing it.
And this is the perfect, Batman Beyond will be the perfect franchise to just swap everything around.
I'd actually like to see Nightwing come back with his Agent Fury look, the eye patch and the slim black suit, taking care of everything while Bruce Wayne passed away. I wouldn't mind that switch up, see how those dynamics work.
Hey, speaking of that, how did you feel about them? Like, I don't know if this is a good thing or bad, because it could be shoehorned, it could be a good little tip of the hat to the fans, I don't know. But how do you feel about them kind of dumping all the Robins in the orphanage the way that they did?
I'm
curious if they're going to.
And if this is the only time I get to see him, I'm going to be greatly disappointed.
That's what I'm curious. I wonder if they're going to actually bring him back in the next season, because this was member berries.
Yeah, I think this was just a nod to the few that were different. Because Carrie is not even part of the original Karen. That's just from Frank Miller's Dark Knight. Carrie was a Robin that wasn't original. After Stephanie Brown, it was Tim Drake again. So there's no reason for Carrie to be there. She was
missing. Who's missing out of this? I thought there was another.
You're missing Tim and you're missing Damien.
Damien's the firecracker jackass, right?
Yeah, the little asshole, Bruce Wayne's son. Yeah, that's right. And then Tim Drake, who is actually an excellent Robin, probably the best one when it comes to
I think the most probably, I don't know, maybe the most iconic one, but not.
Well,
yeah, I would say Tim Drake is probably the most memorable one. Maybe because
next to Dick Grayson, most definitely.
Well, yeah, but Dick Grayson, I guess it depends on the audience. Who's watching Batman these days? Is it still the same audience that's been reading Batman forever, for the longest time, or is it more of our generation? I think Dick is more prominent post like the 80s.
Which is the one that which was the Robin for Adam West?
That was Robin. That was Dick Grayson.
Dick, yeah.
Dick Grayson. Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. He looks like Dick Grayson. Okay.
So Batman the Animated Series is the first one to actually change it up, where Dick Grayson, like when he got to be like 17, 18, punched Batman right in the face and walked away. And then after that, it was Tim. They didn't even do the Jason arc. They just went straight to Tim.
Oh, that's right. Which one was the one that got beat? That was Dick Grayson that got beat to death by the Joker, right?
No, that was Jason.
Okay, yeah. Man, I'm a Marvel guy, so like I have the knowledge. I have like information up in here, but it's loose information.
Okay, it's okay. We can piece it together. That's why I'm here.
That's why you're here. But yeah, that was my favorite Robin. Was the one that got beaten to death.
Yeah, because he came back as Red Hood and started whipping ass outside of Batman's code.
Yeah, and then he came back as the Joker, right? Or is that spoilers?
Which canon you want to go with?
No. There's no canon. If canon was a thing, then we wouldn't have this. Because
I mean, that happened in the comics, right? Right,
went
guys?
from
That
this
happened in the comics.
to this, and then this, and then this. Or I guess this might have been first, actually, which wasn't so bad. You know, I like my Harley Quinn, though. I was getting like, oh man, this show was something else. Like, I only watched the first little bit of it, and then was like, I think I'm not going to finish this show. And then we get this.
Yeah.
They went straight with an Asian chick, which just totally shits on the character punchline.
That's it. And I understand, like, oh man, I have such a hard time with this one. Just the character is so well defined by their personality. You know, Harley Quinn is that bubbly Jersey girl, the bubbly Jersey blonde, and I know that is really typecast, but it's like it's typecast to the point where, like, you do the same thing with Bruce Wayne. He's always going to be, you know, the affluent white guy, right? Like,
but
maybe not
she
always.
Went from being, dude, that clip then at the beginning of this show kind of perfectly explains it. She went from being the fun, bubbly, wacky, like, she literally fit the description of Harley Quinn, right? She's got the joke. She's like wearing the card get up, you know, and the jester get up. And then she, like, this right here, this is just a costume for an angry woman. You know what I mean? She's not fun. She's just angry, and she's dark. And
the costume didn't fit either. It didn't work because she's dark and she's trying. They give her some sympathy value in that she's trying to get these billionaires to give up money.
You mean the white billionaires?
The costume just doesn't, like, this dark, serious psychiatrist has to dress up in this goofy Harley Quinn outfit for what?
The suit doesn't make any sense. And then half the episode,
anymore. She doesn't even have the mask on, and she's going through all these dramatic moments with these women that she's in love with in this ridiculous outfit.
Yeah, the costume doesn't make it. It's just they just replaced, like, I don't know. They put that costume is supposed to represent something. The Joker's not, you know. The Joker's always crazy. He's always insane. He's a Joker, and I think some versions of the Joker is a little bit too dark and sadistic, but it takes away from the humor. But at least there's something.
That humor is so. See, I think the humor is such an important element of that character. I'll go on record. Heath Ledger is my all-time favorite, like, Joker, but also he's like one of my all-time favorite characters in the way that he portrayed him, and still managed to pull across that sense of humor, that sense of, you know, the comedy to what he's doing. And Harley Quinn is the perfect, like, complement to that.
Yeah,
but not in this one. Not in this one. Now she's dark and brooding and moody.
When they got rid of when her and the Joker split up, it was like, now she's just some typical girl. You know, she might as well have a TikTok or some shit. You know, like in that clip where she's like, "Yeah, I might have missed a landing on that one. I don't know, maybe." And then she's like, "Hey, Mr. Joker, see you later, dickhead," or whatever. Which, okay, that's all right, that's where we're going with this? Like, really? Okay. Well, and then we get this thing, and it's not Harley Quinn at all, which makes me wonder, I mean, obviously it's going to be Harley Quinn, but wouldn't it be interesting if, like, this was just some person? And look at the difference in, like, there's personality in one of these images.
Yeah.
And there's just an angry, ugly person in the other. It's the fucking design, dude. I can't get over this. This image right here is wrong on so many levels. Her head's way too big. Her shoulders are way too broad. She got a tiny chest. And on the other side, you've got a cute, spunky, fun-loving, crazy girl. that you want to watch more of. I don't want to see any more of that. The green and yellow is another thing. I think they did that on purpose.
So we have body positivity versus what actually sells.
Yep.
I don't. Okay, so this is one of those ones. What's up, Grant? This is one
Grant,
of those ones where, like, I can give a pass to the body positivity. Like, I don't mind them taking a different approach and looking from a different like thing, and they want to be body positive. Like, it's not that big of a difference; it's a slight difference, but it's the personality is the thing that really got to me on this one. It's just not the same character. If you want to change them up a hair and try to tackle some different stories and some different points of view on a lot of these things that have been retread over and over and over through the decades, I get that and I'm fine with it. But if you had taken them out of this costume and you had never said their name, you would have no clue that that's Harley Quinn. Zero clue. It's like they had to fit the costume in there simply so that you knew who this person is supposed to be.
And that's why it's a shoehorn swap or whatever you want to call it. It's like, this is dog shit right here. Like, I accept this.
Couldn't you technically use that argument for Penguin, Barbara, Jim, every other character that's not Bruce?
Well, sure.
You could.
But this actually works, though.
Commissioner Gordon, I recognized him. Like, he followed enough of the character, like contained enough of the regular character, the mustache, and he's the serious, you could tell right off the bat he was going to be the only cop in the whole thing who's like the honest cop that you can trust. They did some things with Barbara that I didn't understand. Selina Kyle, they changed her up a little bit. Like, they changed, instead of being poor and on the streets, now she's rich and affluent because everybody's rich and affluent in this world. And she's trying to pay her bills. Like, they still have that same, like, she has the sympathy vote of, like, she has to do something, to save herself. At least they kept that portion of her story arc. But Harley Quinn was just to me was such a much larger reversal of the character than the other guys. So some of them were like, even the gender swap on, or the quote unquote gender swap on Penguin wasn't as dramatic, in my opinion.
I don't know. I think that was way more abysmal than what they did to Harley, but I don't like either one.
Really?
So. Oh yeah.
This almost looks like it could fit. This looks like it could fit, though.
Bruce Timm's whole argument was that there are no good villains for Batman, which fuck you.
What are you talking about? He's got some of the best villains in the entire DC universe.
Exactly. So fuck Bruce Timm on that one. He did this for the DEI swap. And let me tell you, instead of doing that to the Penguin, if you wanted your little DEI check mark, you could have just got Fish Mooney from the Gotham series. Okay? Black, strong, independent woman, took down the Falcone family and ran things in Gotham for a bit. You didn't need to do that to the Penguin. Hell, you could have Fish Mooney do that to the Penguin.
That's the real argument, and that is the real problem with what's going on here. It's going to sound racist and sexist and every other kind of ist when you're sitting here talking shit about how they gender swapped Penguin and how they race swapped all these characters, and that's not the issue. The issue is that there are actual characters out there that are female, that are different genders, and instead of giving these characters the time and attention that they are due to be good characters, it's so much easier just to, like, you know what, we'll just take Penguin, who's a known villain, like that's a successful villain. We'll just gender swap them. Like if I was female, I would be offended by that, because it's like, this is what you're going to give me. You're going to give me like half-ass Harley Quinn.
It's like making what's his name? Falcon, Anthony Mackie's character. It's like making him go in Captain America. I mean, what is it about giving everybody else who feels like a minority or a victim the scraps or ride the coattails of already established characters?
I don't even mind when they do it with certain. Like, I understood why they did Miles Morales in Spider-Man,
and that was well done. That's an actual different character.
But it was also to hang on to like change that IP if they needed to hang on to it. You know, the Miles Morales Spider-Man in case they lost it. But this isn't the case with I don't think it's the case with Penguin. Although that is coming up. That IP is maybe that is why they're changing. Not Harley Quinn though. That's straight up DEI. This is straight up DEI, dude. Like,
so
I didn't hate it, but I was kind of just like, man, I didn't. You know what I hated more than the fact that they changed the Penguin into a girl? I hated her personality. The fact that she was singing in a lounge and like flirting with all these mob bosses, that everybody secretly hates each other but loves each other, and like I was telling you on Jake's channel the other night, and everybody go watch Jake's channel, Bionic Bro, because we got an awesome show over there too. But I didn't like that lounge singing aspect. I know Penguin likes the attention and wants to be whatever, but a lounge singer,
sure,
a bartender maybe.
Now, see, here's where me and Stanley are going to butt heads again.
Or an escort.
I give a pass to Harley Quinn being changed because Bruce Timm created the character back in the animated series.
Oh, that's a solid argument.
That is the only good argument I've ever heard.
He's changing his own character, and I've done the same fucking thing in Cobalt, so I can't say shit.
Well, I can say shit for a beloved character, but that's a solid argument. If you create a character, you kind of get licensed.
Right.
But who made him do it? Did he do it on his own accord, or did somebody say, "Hey, so this Harley Quinn character"?
This is how the conversation went. I absolutely guarantee you, beyond a shadow of a doubt. Hey, Tim Bruce, we are going to pay you what you want to be paid. We want you to do another animated series about Batman. Your other one was really good. You do really good work, and we're going to pay you to do another one. But we have these rules. We have these 12 different bullet points that you need to follow in this show. You need to fit this into the narrative.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think that's what happened times like 20.
Probably.
But one thing though, it is kind of fun. The idea of Batman beating the shit out of a woman. Although I don't know if that's a woman. You know, if they wanted a trans character, this is it right here, dude. This is what they should have done. I'm actually offended that they made it a woman. They should have made it a trans character. And just,
I wonder if that's going to come up.
Oh, you think?
Would you be surprised if that was a season 2? If something they just slipped in there?
Dude looks like a lady.
Yeah, this is totally. We were talking about that. It's totally Robin Williams, man. Look at that face. That's Robin Williams. Too bad Robin Williams couldn't be here to
you
play
should have
character.
You should have put some whipped cream on her face and done the whole hello.
Toodaloo! Dude, that's face right here. You like that? Like a lady. Oh my god. Next
How is
up
Batman
on the
supposed
list.
to beat her?
Clayface.
Oh, I didn't make it that far. I didn't see Clayface.
I liked it. I thought that was a cool, like, you know what? This actually ties into another point I was going to make about this show. The old episodes were more, the animated series is more like episode by episode by episode, and there might be like an arc that kind of overarches, you know, here and there. But this whole series is like an ongoing story. There's things happening, but it's like a continuous story, which is interesting. And I didn't actually expect that. You know, I was kind of expecting more of the classic animated series. This guy was like introduced earlier on, right?
Around episode 4 or 5.
And so I appreciate like his character, like his story. I don't honestly remember the animated series' Clayface's story. as being anything interesting. You know, he's just a cool shape-shifting blob of clay that was like really big and crazy, but I never really thought about the character that much. This actually, I don't know, maybe they did say it in the animated series. I got to go back and rewatch it, but they did a good job with this guy and giving him like a story, and that the episode was kind of like a horror movie almost, like a noir. What is that? Detectives. What are those movies called? Those old school like detective stories.
Yeah,
noir.
Black
it's like a noir horror. Like Sunset Boulevard meets
detective.
The Thing.
Hard-boiled detective. That's what it was.
Is that what it's called?
Yeah. I've got two books all about the old classic detective stuff called The Black Mask Boys and The Hard-Boiled Detectives.
And I'm not familiar with the actual original comic book story. Clayface is not a character that I ever really cared that much about. Is this more true? Are you familiar with it, Jake? Is this the more true version of Clayface? Because I did like this. The actor.
I'd say it's just different. Like the origin's kind of same. Like, in the animated series, he was a famous actor because he could pull off any kind of looks, and it was because of the facial cream that he used that would mold his face to what he needed it to look like. Well, this time around, it's just that he couldn't get work until he found the clay, and then it deformed him by so much use. And now he actually enjoys looking like that because he thinks it's like the best character for an actor to get into. It's really weird how they did the psyche on him.
Yeah, I thought it was a pretty fun episode. I need to go back and rewatch it. I've got it right here. But you know, there's like so much time. I wish I could make a day last. You know, I wish I could stop time and watch all this stuff because there's so much to go over with everything. I would love to go back and rewatch the entire animated series in 2 days. But
they filmed it. The original one. An interesting little note on that. They at least one of the seasons or one of the episodes, something I don't know. They filmed in a movie format because they were actually after the first season or the second season or something like that. They were greenlit to do an animated series movie, and then so they had to film it, and instead of filming it for TV with the 4:3, they filmed it in 9:16 or whatever. And they had issues where normally your issue is where you film widescreen, and then when you put it on TV, you have to pan to show a wide shot. But they had the exact opposite problem with the animated series because they filmed it for. What was the deal with that? I just saw this a couple weeks ago on a weird random thing that I was watching. They filmed it for television and that's what it was. They filmed it for television and they had to adapt that for the movie. It was weird. I don't know. Fun little side note on the animated series.
You know, that's another thing about animation in movies. They'll I don't know, maybe Looney Tunes or something. Probably the first time I noticed it when I was growing up. You see, watching Looney Tunes on the frame rate's different as well, but they obviously in a movie they're going to put so much more effort into the animation. You're talking about a movie that was going on the big screen or the Mask of Phantasm. I don't think that didn't come out in theaters. But that was they had intended for the animated series movie, the first one that they were going to do, or the first one that they did. There was some hang up with that. I don't remember the full story on that. But they actually, I guess, they got greenlit for a movie, and they ended up using what they animated for the TV show in the movie or something. I don't know. It was weird like that. But so. What movie was it? Recently saw. Okay, when my point was that back in the day, when they made something out from a TV show to a movie, they put so much more effort into the movie animation. You know, Space Jam is I guess one too, but then I just saw a preview when I went and saw, I guess, Inside Out. There was a cartoon. But I can't remember what it was. It was a preview for an upcoming cartoon, and I'm like, obviously I don't care, but I noticed the animation in this movie was no better than the cartoon than the TV animation.
Oh, that's crap.
Did you see it, Stanley? You just watched it, didn't you? Do you know
I
what
did.
I'm talking about?
Yeah, I don't know about the preview, but I know in the movie they actually have like an animated character, and they specifically cut the frame rates on the animation to make it look like a televised animated character. Is that what you're referring to?
I don't remember. I was watching Inside Out too, and honestly, all those trailers are like. I just remember noting like one of the trailers in that movie was just like this animation's. Oh, wait a minute! What was that? It's the movie. What's the movie that's coming out about the person with the pencil and can draw? Maybe that's the one I'm thinking of.
Oh, the Ryan Reynolds movie.
Yeah, Ryan Reynolds.
I saw that. Yeah, they do that kind of stuff on purpose. So, like, in one of the Spider-Man video games, you can like switch out the different costumes, and that's one of the things that's like they've got like a ton of costumes on the Spider-Man game. You can actually get one of the costumes from the animated Spider-Man movies that are like really popular, and it actually reduces the frame rate of your character to make it look edgy like how that cartoon is. They did that on purpose.
Well, yeah, but it just seems like they just scaled up the. It just seems like they scaled it up. They didn't add extra shading. They didn't add any extra effort at all for this.
On that note, talking about animated stuff like that and all that stuff, one thing I do have to say about this, and it's kind of like the standard nowadays, but I still think they deserve a pat on the back. The animation was good. Like, it was clean.
Agreed.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you'd hope so with all the modern TV shows and everything that's coming out right now. They've got the ability to do it. And it did still have that classic animated series vibe. Mm-hmm. They didn't go too crazy with, like, the shading and everything and make it look like over the top. They didn't do the CGI. Thank God that CGI animation, like what's a good example? Like a good
Archer.
example of that. Even Archer's
is intended to be comical. Like,
it's like After Effects is what they're using for Archer.
Yeah,
I don't know if that's what they're actually using, but it's that paper, those paper figures you can move around really easily. But the CGI ones, like Jurassic Park, I think did one. The Altered Carbon, why they made a CGI animated Altered Carbon cartoon. That's an adult show. They don't need a CGI animated cartoon of that show.
They can do it all day long. I'm totally on board with it. But there was no naked sister running around in that cartoon.
Did you actually watch that cartoon?
No, I didn't. So maybe there was, and I don't know what I'm talking about. It's entirely possible. I went out on a limb with that.
I watched a little bit of it and was like, nope, I can't stand that CGI. It's like CGI, but it's meant to look like a cartoon. It's like, I don't know, an old Dragon Ball Z game on the PS2 or something. It just looks horrible, man.
I'm
glad they didn't do that with this.
Caped Crusader has way better animation than another Amazon show called Invincible.
Wait, who has the better animation?
Batman Caped Crusader.
Better than Invincible.
They're both on Amazon.
You can still see some choppy framework when it comes to Invincible, and you can tell like when they're moving away from letting somebody actually speak on screen to the back of their head to save some money on animation.
Interesting. I would have put them in a category for good animation. I'm gonna have to go back and rewatch that now.
Well, the fight scenes is where they put all the money into it, but outside of that, I haven't
watched that much of Invincible. I need to go get caught up on that one.
Thin line.
Invincible's good.
Very bland, unless you're in a fight scene.
I watched The Boys and Invincible and The Boys, and I'm sure there's another 2 or 3 out there that are the same concept. I know they're all good.
X-Men 97 too. Like, I don't know where 97 falls in the quality of animation department. Because I know that, like, when we were watching that in between episodes, we'd go back and watch the old cartoon, and it's kind of hard going back to that animation with anything that's done today. You know,
it's like the animation gets
the
animation gets cleaner, but the artwork is like cheaper. Like, instead of focusing on like muscle lines or whatever little details, they simplify the character design. But then
they do shell shading,
animation,
cell shading.
Yeah, and I don't know. I'd rather get that artwork. Like the Max, the cartoon had awesome animation, awesome like artwork. Everything was badass in that cartoon. That's like one of my favorites.
The Max was so tricky.
Dude, imagine if they had done the X-Men cartoon like that. With that kind of effort.
Well, your kids watch it.
Oh. I don't know. I let my kids watch the Max when they were like.
Do you let them or do you force them? I feel like this is something you'd be forcing on them.
Yeah, that's true. I did kind of force that one. I was like, "Oh, you're gonna love it," and then they're like, "Dad, this is depressing. I want my bottle."
You got to watch the whole thing. You have to watch it all the way through. Then you'll get it.
Yeah, just get to the end, to the root beer part. Root beer. Yeah, root beer. That funny little goofy cartoon.
I love this Selina Kyle. This Catwoman.
This Selina Kyle was great.
I do like this Selina Kyle. Yeah.
This costume is cool. It's refreshing that they go back and they stop trying to like screw up essentially this, because this gets kind of disturbing actually. Like, I still love this as my favorite one. However, getting a refreshing Selina Kyle. I don't like her story. I like the poor whatever Selina Kyle I like character, but this was nice to see after all the Selina Kyles we've had.
Mm-hmm.
I like this one.
I'm not entirely fond of the switch around on the backstory. I am okay with it.
It's not the worst.
I'll let that pass. Yeah, that one's the character. She's like actually one of the stronger characters, I felt. Just like the personality was there. Is that Christina Ricci they had playing her?
Yes.
The girl from Yellow Jackets, like the weird girl from Yellow Jackets, just blows my mind.
My Casper.
She did a good job with it, though. It worked.
Christina Ricci. What was my favorite Christina Ricci movie?
Casper.
Maybe. Anything pre-boob reduction. What's my favorite Christina Ricci? Post, meh. All right.
I just know that like her in Yellow Jackets was just like such an awkward character, so hard to watch. But yeah, she did a good job with this one, and I like that she's like, I like that she's kind of a bumbling cat burglar.
Yeah.
And I like that it annoys Batman. Like, you can tell how it gets under his skin to the point that he's like, I've got to stop her just because I'm so sick of dealing with this.
Which is kind of a vibe I like that. And it's not like he's it's kind of the way it should be, right? Like, she was never a huge threat to Batman. She's never been like
she's just a jewel thief. She's not killing anyone. She's a jewel
thief. She's annoying, and that's kind of the way she kind of like the Batman, Nolan Batman. Like, they kind of have like a little bit of like spunky repertoire or whatever, like relationship.
But since this is set in the 1940s, do we get the scene where Batman takes her over his knee and punishes her?
Spanks her, gives her a good old
as she should be.
We need that in season 2.
Casablanca, Gone with the Wind. Anybody? No, just me. Okay.
She gets out of line. Just give her a little slap.
That's right.
Hold on, I gotta find that panel, dude.
When he sends her off to there's a scene where he handcuffs her to the thing in the art museum, and she does she's sitting there and she does like a little ow, like before you realize what she's done. And I swear I just had like mental images of like he caught her, Now he's walking out and gives her a slap on the ass on his way out.
Yep.
Oh shit!
That'd be great.
I found the funniest fucking panel of Batman. I don't even know if this is actually the right wording or not, but let me stop sharing this. I gotta share this, dude. This is funny. Share screen. You know how it goes, everybody. I've got to, I've got to like.
You need a musical introduction for every time technology slows, Peter.
Yeah, I know, right? Let go of me, quiet or Papa Spank. That is funny, dude. I see shit like that on there's some comic book ads on Instagram has stuff like this all the time. Is the funniest these panels, and sometimes I wonder if that's actually the panel or not. I'm sure
make
it's
it full
not,
screen.
I would make that game.
Make it full screen.
He says it's makeup wax, but I think it's chloroform.
Dude, that's totally chloroform. Quiet or Papa... Batman voice. Quiet or Papa Spank.
That's back when it was stronger in those days. It wasn't diluted.
Oh, man. Those are uh-oh. Where do I go here? There it is. That is funny. And there's so many funny panels like that. I
want to see Harley Quinnzo's reaction to that.
Well, I actually have it here. Let me just find it. Give me a second here, because now I got to go back to the other share screen. Okay. Right here. Boom. Yeah, I know. I totally killed the joke.
So
anyway,
I'm kind of hoping that in season 2, when they finally get the Joker in there, because they showed him in the last episode, like a cliffhanger, like sneak peek, blink and you miss it. I
think he's gonna be trans.
No. I'm hoping that they catch him, and then that's when Harley Quinnzell takes over doing the psychiatric evaluation for Joker, and that's when she starts getting more bright and colorful with her ways of doing stuff.
That would be really interesting to see if they do a character arc where they introduce that and that this is who she was before. Joker made the because there are ties to Joker making her the way that she is in a lot of the comic book lore and stuff.
Yeah. And I actually think that would be kind of cool. That would be cool.
Not shocking her in the brain. Shit.
Right.
I don't know what they're going to do with the Joker, but they're going to do... They're so proud. They're obviously so proud of what they've done with this one. And, I mean, the show is good. It's a fun watch. Total. I know we kind of
overall,
but
overall,
it was a fun watch. It's just the things to talk about are like the changes, and some of them are good and interesting, and some of them are kind of like, man, they just did it obviously to get headlines. What are they going to do with the Joker? I'm a little worried. After Harley and the Penguin, I'm a little worried what they're going to do with him or her.
That would be really interesting if Harley fell in love with the Joker. Does that?
Oh, like they flip the script, like they make her straight again. I don't think they'll do that.
They might not.
I don't think so either, but but that would be an interesting twist.
They're going to be brother and sister. Just watch. And then the Joker's going to be Indian, and they're going to be like brother and sister or something. Maybe Muslim.
Who are you guys hoping to see come in on season 2? Because I could have done without the Joker, actually.
Mr. Freeze, 100%. I want to see how they're going to do Mr. Freeze.
It'll be Mrs. Freeze.
It's good, and I actually think. Okay, so Stanley, I don't know if you saw that episode over on Jake's channel. Everybody, go check out Bionic Bros channel and watch that episode because we did talk about this. I think that you had this idea that they're going to swap Mr. and Mrs. Freeze role, and that Mrs. Freeze is going to be trying to save Mr. Freeze. I like that idea.
I'm not opposed to it. That's interesting because it was really, to me, it was really heartfelt. Like Mr. Freeze has a really he's one of those evil villains. It's like I know they try to shoehorn in that sympathy value into these characters, and Mr. Freeze got that treatment early on. You know what I mean? So, like, I felt real emotional about Mr. Freeze doing what he was doing for his wife, kind of stuff.
Right.
I am interested in seeing how they would pursue that. Like, go ahead and flip the script on it, and let women feel that way about a man. You know what I mean? Like,
change it up.
Yeah, like I'm okay with that.
Pulling the man's heartstrings, pulling the woman's heartstrings.
Yeah, give them that point of view on it. That'd be interesting. That'd be a change. I'm curious to see how they do it.
I think that was one of the best episodes of Batman animated series. As a kid watching that, I was like moved, and I hadn't been moved really by anything at that young, watching a cartoon. Maybe when the Ninja Turtles were told like Splinter's backstory.
Mm-hmm.
I cried a little bit during that moment, but not again. I never cried again until Mr. Freeze episode. Of course.
Oh, bullshit. You saw What Dreams May Come and you cried like everybody else did.
That wasn't until I was at least in junior high or high school. That doesn't count. Tailspin got me too, and Darkwing Duck. But actually, Darkwing Duck did get me a couple of times when I was a kid. But I can't remember when. I just remember being like, oh, I love this show so much. I'm curious what they're going to do with Mr. Freeze. Although I got to say, in this season, you know what I think they did? I think a lot of people wanted Mr. Freeze. I think there were a lot of people out there like me who wanted Mr. Freeze. I don't care about the Joker as much as Mr. Freeze. I think Firefly was a substitute. Or Firebug.
It's two different characters, right?
Yeah, and he made the point of saying, I'm not that guy, I'm the other guy.
I like that. I like that they did that because they were alluding to the fact that it's the precursor to Firefly. So that could actually be an allusion to, if they follow some story arc stuff and they're alluding to Firebug and Firebug being the precursor. Correct me if I'm wrong on that, but Firebug being the precursor to Firefly. Like I would really find it cool if they actually followed like a storyline like that. They developed the characters.
Firebug was and not that the story arcs or anything was the same, but I think that that was kind of like their substitute for Mr. Freeze this season was the opposite of Mr. Freeze. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
The costume even had like the goggles, I think it's the same. I think that's what they were going for.
And instead of him being like doing what he did for his wife and family, he was doing it for his passion to see things in fire,
which is awesome. If it's not for your family, then it's all for fire.
They did take some time into the animations for the fire.
Oh yeah. Who else do you think they're gonna? Jake, who do you think they're gonna bring in season 2?
We all agree that this is supposed to be the adult version of the animated series, right?
Yeah,
so
ideally.
Let's ramp it up then. I want them to bring in Mad Hatter, Dr. Jervis Tech, because we get that whole how he's obsessed with little blonde girls and how they're his Alice and stuff like that. And then we can go with Professor Pig, the one who dissects and reconfigures people, faces, and body parts. And then last but not least, my favorite, even though everybody thinks it's ridiculous, the ventriloquist.
That's what I like. Y'all, you like bringing up these characters. You know what I was thinking? Bane. I want to see a 1940s Bane. He'd be like, well, Batman, let me tell you about this venom. Like as he puts a pipe in his mouth. This injected in your arm, and it makes you big and strong. Eat your vegetables, kids.
He's like one of those strong guys at the amusement park, like hanging out with Phil Robbins.
Yeah, he's gonna be like one of the circus folk that, like, in the leotard, holding the big, barbell with the balls on the ends
with the
of
curly
it,
mustache.
Yeah, that's gonna be Bane. That's actually have you ever seen? I'm sure you've seen those AI videos made in the 50s. AI videos.
Yeah, like The Simpsons.
I want to see that. I want to see Bane in the 50s. I saw one of those G.I. Joe. I had it pulled up earlier, then I accidentally got out of my browser. I'm not going to pull it up right now. Maybe I'll talk about that another time. But the G.I. Joe one rocked, dude. There are actually quite a few.
G.I. Joe.
There are things that I'm looking forward to, and season 2 of this show is definitely one of them. I am looking forward to the new X-Men, the 97. I haven't even seen all of the last ones. I don't have a Disney subscription because I'm not going to pay for Disney, but I don't know. I see they're getting better, but not much. And I don't know if it's just like a temporary, hey, we've changed. We look at Deadpool. I don't know. I'm going to give them some time before they make another stupid mistake before I, start throwing money at them. Right. Deadpool Wolverine was only, like, I made the exception for that because it's Deadpool and Wolverine.
Which, if you're still watching right now and you have not seen Peter's episode, the podcast that we just did about Deadpool Wolverine, you need to go back and check that out because that was a good one.
Last week's episode, man, that was fun and that was cool and it's doing great. Like, I'm getting a lot of good response from that video. Talked all about it. I spoiled the whole movie for Stanley. He hadn't seen it. I spoiled the whole thing. It was amazing.
I don't even need to watch it now.
Yeah, I spoiled everything. Although that was the point. It doesn't matter. You can watch the whole thing now, even though it's been spoiled for you.
Yeah.
Still good.
And same with Caped Crusader.
That's right. You haven't watched that either? What have we been talking about?
No, I've seen about half of it. I haven't finished it yet. I don't need to finish it.
One of these days I want to talk about, if it's relevant or there's something. I want to talk about IPs. I know I kind of mentioned this before, but like, what would you do if you could own an IP? Any IP. Mm-hmm. And I'm tossed up between a couple. But we'll have to save that for another time because the hour is up. And I want to thank everybody for watching. Subscribe, hit the like button, leave a comment, and I will most likely comment back. If you even care. It's awesome. If you care what I have to say. Anyways, thanks for watching. I'll catch y'all next time.
Now get out! And I'll tell you when